Hello and welcome back to Creepy Cutie Crafty. Welcome back to yet another crafting video with me, Heather. Hi guys, how you doing this week? So yes, this week I am back from my travels. I went down south to visit my parents and now I'm back and gearing up to putting this Sashiko bag all together. I really like how these red stitches around the outside of the pockets have worked, but I'm really pleased with this so far. I've gone through and I've ironed them also. All of the pink lines that I was using as guidelines have all been erased, and the same with this one. And you know, I love the effect. I love how this looks kind of shimmery with the red and the white together. I think it's worked out really remarkably well. However, I am now going to be getting on to the slightly less glamorous but slightly more significant part of the bag, and that is putting it all together. So just put that over there. I've got a couple of bits to do today, and then next week I will be putting the bag together properly, all the rest of it together. I'm going to do another half and half video, so half on this and half on the freehand project that I'm doing. But today I am finishing adding this zip, and I've got something else that I'm going to be starting as well. This one is the one with the little Totoro, and this has got this pocket in it. So on the other side I have stitched on a zip, and I've stitched through this fabric here. What I did was I did like 2 pieces of fabric, folded them under, stitched them together like this, and then stitch this around the gap. It is again very Heath Robinson. It's not how a professional bag maker would make their bags, but I'm not a professional bag maker. I am merely a crafty fumbler. A crafty fumbler. I think that's the nicest way we can put it, really, isn't it? But on this side it's all stitched down so that the zip won't catch, but on the other side I've got this overhang. It does open absolutely fine, so I'm kind of thinking of leaving that little overhang here and just letting it sort of fray, and just keeping an eye on snipping off any extra stitches and things. I've done these green stitches around. They're quite strong because I use quite strong thread, but I want to bring back in my Sashiko thread. So I have my Sashiko thread here. I'm just going to do a quick knot on the end. Again, I'm not worried about it being super professional because I am not super professional. I am, as I say, merely a crafty fumbler. But yeah, so that goes in through there, and I'm going to be using a mix of red and white for this, and I've got to be very careful not to catch the other fabric underneath because I need it to be taut so I don't start sticking the wrong bit and overlapping. So before I go any further, I'm just going to do a couple of extra bits of pinning, which means there's going to be lots of me going ow, ow, ow as I stab myself by accident multiple times during the course of this video, so be prepared for that. And yes, so it's just making sure that I don't accidentally stitch this end down here onto this bit here. So better to be safe than sorry, as they say, and quite often they're right, aren't they? Sorry, Mr. Totoro, I'm sticking through your face. There we go. And oops, can I get hold of the pin? I can. There we go. Yay! And I'm going to pin this one towards the middle so there's less chance of me catching myself. And what I'm going to do is, once I've got this all stitched on the back, I will stitch on a second layer of this fabric so that there's like a pocket just here, and then I can start constructing the bag properly. But we'll see how we go with that because there's a long way to go, and some of it is going to be hand stitched with sewing thread, as my mum calls it, because it's all sewing, isn't it? But other parts I will do with Sashiko thread as well. So it's a mix of stitches, some to be like anchoring stitches, others to be decorative stitches. But yeah, it's all going to work out in the end, I hope. Have I managed to do myself to things on there. Let's have a look. I have, so didn't want to have that as 2 stitches, so I'm going to just snip that one down there. And this is nothing exciting, nothing decorative, but I'm hoping just to sort of go over the green stitches slightly so that they're sort of hidden underneath the red. And it's just going to be a row of straight stitches, like standing up like soldiers, and I just keep going on as I go around. There we go. I could have done like a running stitch all around, but I thought I'd like to do it like this. So I just wanted to have something a bit more contrasty with all the other stitches beneath. And this is one of the areas where I've not actually included any red stitching, so having red stitches for the for this part of the bag is going to be interesting. It's going to be a bit of a feature, maybe. But yes, I'm not going to do just this. I'm going to be showing you what I'm doing next. Just checking to make sure that the zip still opens and closes, because if I stitch too far this way, it will stop the zip from opening. So just make sure I'm not going too far over. But yeah, no, I'm going to be doing another part of the bag in a bit, so I'll get back to that bit when I get to that bit. Yes, I'm just going to make sure I get this nice and firmly stitched down. This is all basically belts and braces, so I've got the green stitching and I'm going to have this on top, so there's no chance of this zip coming off. It's not, I wouldn't say it's very well stitched, because I've not done it like the professional proper way. I've been watching the Great British Sewing Bee, and the way that they talk about doing invisible zips and putting in all these lovely details and things on their grand creations, and I'm there going, okay, it looks lovely, but I'm just gonna make it up as I go along. It just shows you I'd never get onto the Great British Sewing Bee, I think. But yeah, no, it's fascinating to watch. But yeah, there are proper ways of attaching zips so that they look professional and they look tidy, but I'm not overly worried about looking professional or looking tidy, because this is a very slouchy bag, as we've already discussed in previous episodes. I very much like having something that is slouchy and easygoing and made for comfort and decoration, not necessarily made for looking professional. I am not a very professionally presenting person anyway, but that's just me. I think I'd rather have hands that were busy than hands that were clean, if you know what I mean. It's like I know that some people get comments about their nails. I mean, you can see my nails. They're all different lengths. They're all either broken or in the process of breaking, or in the process of growing back. But I've never once really felt like, oh, I've got to have super nails for everyday life, because I'd rather have fingers that I'm not worried about breaking the nails on and things. I have, you know, in the past painted my nails and things, but it never really lasts, because my hands are always so determined to do stuff that I wind up just picking it all off and yeah, losing nicely finished nails because my hands like to be busy. Any of you crafters out there, I guess you know, you feel the same thing, don't you? You get this thing of, I really want to just do stuff with my hands. My hands don't like being still. It's it can be a problem sometimes, but most of the time it's good if you want to be somebody who makes stuff or draws stuff or designs stuff. It's a good way to be. Anyway, that's me blithering on again. But you know, as I say, we're all different, and if you want to paint your nails, that's absolutely fine. It's your life, not mine. Is there a knot in there? No, just a tumble. But yeah, so yeah, we came back from my parents' down south on Friday last week, and it was a busy old week. It was very, very, very warm. Even warmer, I suppose, than up here in the Midlands. It's only a couple of hours drive south, but the difference in temperature was, you know, it's noticeable, but not as noticeable as you'd think. However, it has been very much of a heat wave, and it's been very, very warm. Far, far, far too warm, really, for the comfort of most people, but especially me. I'm not a very warm weather kind of person. I do very much prefer my cooler days, my autumnal days when things are dying and getting ready to be reborn next year. That was a bit poetic, wasn't it? Yeah, no, I mean, I do prefer it when it's, you get that feeling of the year coming to an end, and everything starts getting a little bit more damp, and you get more mushrooms, and you get more like fruits and things coming off the trees and things. But it's getting more and more difficult to appreciate autumn, because we don't seem to be having autumns properly anymore, because, yeah, we know why. I am going to mention it, the wonderful, wonderful climate change. But it's yeah, I'm starting to see more and more ways in which I need to sort of change my life, my practices, my processes, to try and be a bit more eco-friendly. And I think doing slow stitch like this, and doing reclamation work using, as I say, old jeans and things like this, is a good thing, because, you know, this is stuff that's not going to wind up in the landfill, and it's stuff that can be reused again, and it's getting a second lease of life. And yeah, at the end of it, I'm thinking maybe I can use scraps from this to do some weaving with, because I've seen some people using scraps of denim or other cotton products or other, you know, fabric products to make woven decorations and things, so they can make woven bags and bits and pieces like that. But also I've seen them using carding combs, you know, there's the combs that you use to card wool and card roving before you start to spin it. You can use that with broken down fabric, so you can sort of tear it up into small chunks and break it down and pull the threads out, and then card them, and then spin them into new yarn, which will be quite an interesting thing to have a go at. Talking of which, yeah, we're getting close towards the autumn and the winter, so I'm going to start looking at my autumn/winter projects. Now, I've got tickets to go into the Stafford Wool Gathering, which I really want to go to after missing the Wolverhampton Wool Festival. But I'll be returning to my spinning and weaving and all these other bits and pieces, all the practice that I've been doing with those, and trying to get them back on track. And we'll see how we go with that one. Right, so you can see I've got almost to the end of that row. I'm going to do the other row here, and then I'm going to put some more stitches between them. I like it like this, to be honest with you, but I would like to add some more stitches just to really solidify it. Just going to do a check to make sure it does still open. There's a bit of an overlap here where the two fabrics join up, but over time I think that's going to come looser. But I will finish the rest of that off screen. Ow, just stabbed myself. And I will share a picture of that at the end of the video. But I think that's looking quite nice. I do like using the red there. I didn't even think that there's no other red on here, so having red going around the pocket like that, I think that's going to be quite effective. But I'm going to put this on the side. I will need the needle, so I'm going to take the needle out, and I can finish that with the needle later. But I did manage to finish off this, which is the bottom, the base of the bag. And then I've added a couple of long panels to be the sides of the bag. Now you can see it's gone from the thicker part here going down to the thin part here, and this is where it's going to overlap, and there's going to be a bag loop just there, like a D-ring holding it in place. I have included like the seam allowance, but I'm going to have to work from here down to here. I am again not doing this in any sort of fancy way. I'm just using whatever I've got on hand to stitch, and I'm not going to be doing a formal stitching like this. I mean, I really do like how this panel here turned out. I really love this, and I want to do something bigger like this in a future project. But for this part, all I'm going to be doing is stitches going across and around. I'm going to try and do sort of swirls and things just for the sake of a little bit of decoration, but I'm not going to go all the way to the top. So when I get to about, oops-a-daisy, there, that is where I'm going to be stitching. So I will put a pin. Hold on a second, I'll show you that again on camera because I think I was off camera then. Bear with me 1 second. I'm not going to get all that far today, but where did that pin go? There it is. So over here, this is where it sort of scoots down. That's the centre there, that's where the ring is going to go. So if I sort of fold it on that bit there to there, that shows me about how far up I should stitch before I need to add this, and then I can fold that in on both sides and add everything else on top. Again, it's Heath Robinson. It's very me throwing things and hoping that they all work. I've kept my template for this, including the overlap, but I'm going to be using that and the other templates for the main part of the bag for the lining. So when I come to doing everything in the same camouflage fabric that you saw me using earlier, I'll be using that as the lining for the bag. Right, so where's my needle thread? Yeah, there it is, over here. And my needle is there, and I'm going to be using some white thread this time. I have ordered myself some more Sashiko thread of this sort of type, because I know I'm going to be needing some more before the end of the project, but we'll see how we go. The first thing that's coming to mind as I'm doing this is I'm thinking, oh, do you remember the Starry Night Sashiko image that I did? And could I do that type of finish on here? Now that one used quite a lot of like fabric sort of sewn on and things, which, you know, I could have done that on here, but I think I would much rather have just the denim this time. But I can do some swirls if I want to, and I think I do want to, so there we go. Okay, I may be talking nonsense again. I've done a knot in there, which I didn't actually intend to do, but that's going to be fine because I can take it off when I want to get to that point. So just coming through. And this is how I'm going to start most of my stitchings, because I don't want to have too many knots in too many places. I mean, I've had quite a few knots on this this grand piece, but it's not too bad. But yeah, I'm definitely not a professional bag maker, and I don't think any of you guys would ever make the mistake of assuming that I was, would you? But no, I am really enjoying this project, and I'm really enjoying how it's turning out. Like I say, it is very Heath Robinson. And you know, although I'm doing like counted stitches and things for the actual Sashiko patterns, for most of it I've been making it up as I go along, which is my usual style. But I'm looking forward to seeing how it all comes together. There are some bits and pieces I still need to do on it. So I need to do the top panel, so the panel that holds the front flap and the back flap together. But I'll get to that when I get to that. So, you know, one day I'll get to it. But yes, so yeah, we've got a bit of a week ahead of us. Like I say, we came back from my parents down south last week. Actually, my mum has gone through some of all the bits and pieces that she's had from my grandmother and from other older members of the family, and she's found some tablecloths, some linen tablecloths. There's a cotton tablecloth as well, that are all hand embroidered, and I've immediately took possession of them. Well, my mum offered them to me, so you know, it's not as if I've forced them out of her hands. But I've now got myself 2 very nice linen tablecloths with hand embroidery, and 1 very nice cotton tablecloth with hand embroidery. So I'm thinking of bits and pieces that maybe I could use those for making, but I don't know yet what I'm going to be doing. I'm thinking about doing some tie-dye in the winter, but I don't really want to do tie-dye onto a finished tablecloth, onto something that's embroidered, because then you'd recolour the embroidery as well, wouldn't you? But I can do some tie-dye on other bits and pieces, and maybe use these tablecloths for another part of that process. I don't know. I'm still thinking around it. But yeah, I mean, as I was saying, last week was busy. We did a lot of walking, which, you know me, when it comes to having time off, I do a lot of walking. When I'm working, I do a lot of walking as well, but you know. But I had a whole day to relax at home on Saturday, and then went back to work on the Sunday, because my shifts at my job have changed, and it looks like I might be getting work in another position in the museum at some point soon, but I'm not going to assume anything, and I'm not going to jump the gun, basically, because until the powers that be tell me that my job has changed, I don't know that it will. It sounds so airy-fairy, doesn't it? It's like things are happening, not sure what, but I'm going to talk about them anyway. But that also might mean that my schedule for filming might change, but we shall see what happens. But yes, it's all changed. It's all very exciting. And talking of exciting, by the time you watch this, because I'm filming this on the Tuesday, and you're seeing this on the Friday, by now by the time you're watching this, I should have been with Squinks to go and see how their GCSE results have turned out, because Thursday the 20th of August is GCSE day for everybody across the country, well, everybody who's doing their GCSEs. So it's going to be interesting to see what they've got, because they're doing quite a few arty and creative subjects, but we're going to have a wait and see what happens when they get their results. And yeah, all changes. I say it's going to be a new school for them in the autumn. Well, it's almost the autumn now, so it's only a couple of weeks, and all the things that are happening. But yeah, and of course, whatever results they get, I'm still going to be very proud of them, which is, I suppose, the whole point. Okay, so you can see I'm not doing straight lines here. I'm not doing anything formal or proper here. It's kind of echoing the pockets that I did a couple of weeks ago, isn't it? So, oops, it is. There we go. And I'm not doing proper Sashiko stitching because I am doing a wiggly line, and once I get to another part of this, I can probably take off my leather thimble and start using my palm thimble instead. But I'm using the palm thimble, the leather thimble at the moment, because I'm doing this one stitch at a time just to lay things down. And once the pins are out of the way, I can start using the palm thimble a bit more, I think. But yeah, or maybe I'm just prevaricating, because that is also a possibility. but yours. And that's going through. So yeah, what have you guys got going on this week? It's change of season in other parts of the world, isn't it? So in Australia and in the Antipodes, it's going from winter into summer, and I hope that your summer is a lot calmer than our summer has been. I will say it again, I know I've already mentioned it earlier today in this episode, climate change is definitely taking its toll now, isn't it? And it'd be nice if the people who could make changes would make changes. I don't know if you guys have been following the UK news, but one of our current Prime Minister has said that he wants to open up the options for more North Sea oil mining and North Sea gas mining, which we're all like, hold on a second, we've had wildfires for the entire last month and you want to get more fossil fuels? I don't think so. I don't know what anybody else thinks, and I know that some people are denying that climate change is a thing, but at this stage in the game, I don't think you have much of a say about what's happening, because we can all see what's happening. It's very much not ideal at all. Unfortunately, there's also been some people in the UK who've thought that the best thing that they could possibly do whilst the fire service is overstretched is to set fires deliberately, which is just the most stupid thing I could possibly think to do. It's just crazy. You have to wonder what people are thinking, don't you, when they do stuff like that. Anyway, I'm going to get off that subject because it is a bit negative. I'm going to get on to something a bit more positive, and that is autumn crafting. Now, I did mention earlier, I'm thinking of going back to the Staffordshire Wool Gathering. One of the things I want to get whilst I'm there is a mini electric wool spinner. Now, I've got my hand spindle, which I do love to use, but it is a bit of a faff getting it out and getting it sorted when I've got a ton of other things going on as well. With an e-spinner, I should be able to just put it on the table in front of me and spin. I was hoping to get a bigger spinning wheel type spinner, because then I could use it by, my feet pumping. But I don't know. I'm going to see what the prices are like when I go to the wool gathering, and see what I can afford. And also just see how big the items are now. The e-spinner that I would like to get, the electronic spinner that I would like to get, is very small. So it should be nice and compact, and something that I can use regularly with a very little setup. Whereas a big foot-powered spinner might be a bit more tight on space. We keep saying this, I need more space for my craft room, but at the moment my craft room is my dining room, and it is getting very, very full. But anyway, so you can see what I'm sort of doing there. I'm only doing like swirls and waves, and I might do a second row underneath, or put some circles inside the gaps or whatever. When I get to it, I don't know, but I'll be doing some more of that off screen, as well as finishing off the pocket. If I manage to get this side done, I will also be doing the other side over here, but I'll try and get that done off screen and get a photograph of it for the end of the video, so keep an eye out for that one. And I'll be back in a second to do the next thing. See you in a sec. Okay, so I'm back, and I'm back with this mess. I like how it's looking. I've got all the fabric and bits and pieces down that I wanted to do already. I finished off this piece of basic stump work last week, and as I say, I've got little gaps for other bits and pieces because I want to have some things that are sort of hidden in the gaps and things. I've got some areas over there that I need to finish. I put on this lovely fabric here. I think that's actually sort of silk fabric. feels lovely. But we've got this area down here with a couple of bits of stump work, but I don't know what I'm going to cover that with. At the moment, I'm just making it up as I go along. I've got a little bit of this shiny stuff over here. Got some shiny stuff over there. Do I need to add that on that side or that side? I think I'm going to add some of that on that way round. And I'm not going to do it quite as big this week. I don't want it to be as expansive. So I think I'm going to just see where I go with this. So if you're new here, hi, this is a completely mad project that I'm having a go at. Basically, I'm just throwing things at the embroidery hoop and seeing what happens. It's my freestyle embroidery design. I'm just started off with the fabrics, and then next week I'm going to come back with some, well, this week, so hopefully I'm going to be coming back with some notions and some buttons and some bits of trim and all kinds of other bits and pieces. I am making this up as I go along. I've never done this before. I don't know if I would like to revisit this. I think I might like to revisit this in future designs, but I am not being at all precious about it. It's basically, does that piece of fabric look like it fits there? Okay, it's going in there. That is pretty much the sum of my my engagement with this. It's kind of inspired by watching some of the work from Christine from Create and Craft with Christine, because she does lovely inspired by nature freestyle embroidery and fabric bits and pieces. It's much more inspired by nature for her though, and I'm not using nature as my inspiration. I'm just using play with textures and colours and see what happens. It's fun so far. It is slightly odd, but then again, so am I, so you know. It's one of those things where I'm just enjoying the process, and I'm just enjoying seeing what happens as I go along. I'm not worrying about anything being proper or representative or, you know, anything like that. I'm just seeing what happens, snipping and stitching and waiting and see if it all looks good at the end, and I hope it does, but obviously I'll find out when it gets to that point. Yes, if you can hear some talking in the background, my husband is having a meeting. He's doing some working from home at the moment, so he's in the middle of a meeting. So if you hear anybody talking in the background, that'll be him being super busy and supporting the family in all the ways that he can. But yes, so I'll try and talk over him. It's a fun process though. So yeah, back to what I was saying before. Now I'm planning on doing a lot more spinning and a lot more weaving closer to winter. I would like to get an e-spinner, but I'm going to see how much it costs, and also see if I can get a proper full-size, like treadle, foot-powered spinner, because again, e-spinners are a bit of plastic and a lot of electricity, and I'm trying not to be eco-unfriendly. Oops, that's just stitched itself through there. Oopsie daisy. So this is the one problem with this, is that I've got the fabric coming through. So oh dear, back in a second. I'm just going to knot that together because I've managed to snip the wrong bit. Okay, so I've dealt with that, and I've just tied off the ends, not worrying too much because I'm going to be coming back in with some embroidery thread and some floss in a bit, but we'll see how we go. Yes, same as ever, making it up as I go along, but it seems to be working out, you know. And I'm going to just anchor this piece of fabric down. These fabrics were from a big bundle of fabrics that were sent to me as a Secret Santa gift from my lovely friend Mary in Ireland. So if you're watching, Mary, hi there. You can see what great use I'm making of your gift. But I do have an awful lot left in the bundle, and I'm thinking of using it for something a bit more formalised, a bit more organised later in the year, but we'll see when we get to it. There's so many yummy little pieces of fabric in there. Like I say, there's been some silk, there's been some ribbon, there's been some decorative notions, there's been some bits and pieces with sequins in, all kinds of fabric, and it's lovely to see that fabric retailers are essentially putting together bundles of fabric that would otherwise be either discarded or recycled. So it's very handy for us crafters as well, so you know, make the most of it. I know that quite a lot of people go to charity shops and things for clothing, you know, bits and pieces to do repairs on, or to, you know, to decorate or whatever, but I do like going to charity shops, and I do like, you know, reusing things that are on the shelves there. But at the same time, I kind of feel, well, if there's a good item of clothing and there's somebody who's in greater need than me, surely I should leave it for them. I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit too keyboard warriorish, I don't know. But yeah, no, it's good to make use of things that are otherwise being discarded, and it's even better to buy things that are not going to be discarded instantly either. So, you know, I've gone all eco warrior today, haven't I? I'm very sorry, guys. If that's not your bag, that's fine, but it is my bag, and I'm aware that there's a lot of other crafters and creators out there who are very conscious about how their products get to them and how their work affects the world. And I think that's a good way to think about things, really, isn't it? Try not to waste and try not to purchase unnecessarily, and make sure that you're leaving enough for other people who may need it more than you, or something, I don't know. Okay, so that's going down quite nicely. These are just anchoring stitches at the moment. I might do some more decorative additional stitches later, I don't know. I'm thinking of going along the edge here with some embroidery thread and doing some chain stitches maybe, which we shall see when we get to that bit. I am enjoying working on this off screen as well, so I know this is a common complaint of crafty YouTubers, but sometimes it's a bit hard to work when you're on screen, because you've got to focus on what you're doing, but also you've got to focus on where the camera is and what the viewer's seeing. So it can sometimes be a bit fiddly to do both at the same time. Any of you crafty YouTubers out there who are following me, you know exactly what I'm saying. But it is nice to work on these things. But there we go. So we've nearly got to the end of that one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that bit like that, because I've got another bit of stump work behind there to attach it to, and I'll do that off screen. But I'm thinking about how I can add decoration to this one, or do I want to add something else elsewhere? So just bear with me 1 second whilst I get to the end of this. So I think this little bit of stump work is looking quite nice. I'm thinking about whether or not I should just cut off around the edge there and then use a new bit for the next bit, but I don't know. I will think about that off screen, and I'll be working on this off screen so you can see that at the end of the video. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one, and let me know down in the comments what kind of things do you think I should have added to this. Do you think I'm doing too much? Do you think I'm doing too little? Do you think I should have worked to a theme? What do you think, Squinks? You think meow? Okay, that's not a theme that I'm going to work to, but I'll let them have that. Hitalia. No, I'm not doing a Hitalia themed sewing, thank you. They are somewhat obsessed with this anime that they watch called Hitalia, which, you know, is a bit weird, but also it's helped them to learn a lot about the Cold War. somehow. So I'm getting suggestions from Squinks. Last time I made something for them, it was the Amori black work thing.
Sky.
They want me to make it based on a, there you go, thank you, a Roblox character. So I'm not entirely sure I'll do that, but you go with it. Maybe you can make something yourself. Bye. Yeah, that was Squinks. They are in turmoil at the moment because they're afraid of what their GCSE results will be, as I've mentioned, but I think they are very much looking forward to it. But yes, there we go. So that gets me to the end of that bit, so I'm going to tie that off and I'll be back in a second. See you in a sec. Okay, so now I come on to the next bit. I'm going to try and tuck that under there like that, and I'll put a pin in it as well, just so it's out of the way. Actually, no, I'm not going to use a pin. I'm going to use one of my clips over here, because knowing me, I'll just stab myself multiple times. Just keep that out of the way like that. And what am I going to add next? So I've got some space here, so I'm going to cut that back as well, I think. We'll see about that when we get to it. I've got some space in the gaps there. Now, what I've got off screen here is I've got a big old tin filled with bits of buttons, these decorated shell pieces. I've got some keys in there. I've got all these different types of buttons in here, all kinds of bits and pieces. So I'm thinking, what should I add? Ooh, these are some of my favourite buttons in there as well. Let's have a look. As well as this, I've also got off screen here some bits and pieces of trim. Hold on one second, here it comes. There we go, lots of pieces of trim, lots of pieces of edging and bits and pieces. So I'm going to take out a few. I don't know what I'm going to add. I'm going to put that on the side. I don't think I need that anymore. I don't know. Put that on the side over there. Also got some of these bits and pieces with the pearls on them. Put that on there as well. I've got this little bit of ribbon that I do actually want to add that in somewhere, I don't know where. And I've got these bits too. That's a bit too shiny, I think. But I've got this bit as well that I really like, so I'm going to put that on there. You can see I'm basically going on vibes. If I think I like something, I'll add it. I like that one as well. And it's one of those things where possibly me liking a thing isn't the be all and end all here, but we'll see. And we've got some of these as well that I want to add later, so I think I'm going to keep those out. I'll put those on the side for the moment because that's not what I'm going to add next. But we've got these bits here. So what should I do with these? Ooh, I don't know. I think I'd like to come in with this bit first. So I'm going to put these bits on the side down here. I'll put that on there so I can use that next as well, and the rainbow bit as well. What should I do? I think I'm going to do like a little sort of fan thing there, and then put the rainbow on top maybe. I think that could be quite nice. Well, maybe not nice, but that's what I want to do, so that's what I'm going to do. We shall see how it turns out. So this is going to be right on the edge, so come in a little bit, just there, and do a little bit of a double stitch there, just so I've got a bit more of a secure anchor to the fabric. There we go. And I'm going to come in, and I'm going to try and come in right on the very edge over here. this gold is kind of gritty, so it's kind of grips onto the thread as it goes through, so it's sometimes a little bit tricky. I've used this one when I was doing my birds and fishes project ages ago, so you know it's been a while since I've used it, but I do really like the effect it gives. I should have used my embroidery hoop stand, shouldn't I really? I'll probably use that when I do it off screen though. Oopsie daisy, don't need to catch that in, thank you very much. There we go. And then bring that through there. And that through there. So I'm kind of encouraging like a ruffle, a bit of a frill on there. Like that. And anchor that down. I have once again used far too long a thread, but it wouldn't be me if I wasn't using a silly length of thread to do the job. And there's a knot on the back in a second. There isn't a knot on the back, it's just being silly. There we go. And on we go. So yeah, I've done all of the fabric that I want to add, so now I'm just adding any trim, any buttons, any bits and pieces like that, but I am aiming to fill the whole thing, and once it's done I'm going to take it out of this circular frame and put it into, well, out of this keeper circular frame, and put it into a more decorative smaller frame, possibly add some like dangling beads or some other bits and pieces. I'm going to see how I go with that though, but I'm not being too precious about this at all. It is all just make it up as you go along, embracing my inner creative child, I suppose. Nothing's right, nothing's wrong, but if it's pretty, it's going down, I think. Or something like that. Let me know, guys, do you prefer the formal kinds of stitching, or do you like it when it's more freestyle? Do you think that this is complete nonsense, or what do you think? I'm fully prepared for quite a large proportion of the audience to be, what are you doing, Heather? You're making something that's very, very silly. Why on earth would you do that? But you know, it's my craft time, and I'll do what I like with it. But yeah, I do sometimes very much enjoy embracing the nonsense, and I think this is a case in point that this is the nonsense. And I'm not, you know, going to say this is anywhere near as good as the things that Christine from Create and Craft with Christine creates, because this is my first attempt. But her work is just fabulous. So if you want a different version, possibly a better version of this kind of stitching, go and watch Christine from Create and Craft with Christine. Very much so. Quite rightly, she started to get a lot more interest in terms of fabric art, which, you know, for her it was kind of inevitable, because her fabric pieces, her fabric creations are absolutely superb, and I do highly recommend you go and seek her out and become part of the community of creative folks that she's created. That's a very hard sentence to say. But anyway, yeah, I was talking about my plans for the autumn. I've also got to work out what's going on with my job, because it looks like things might be changing, but I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to assume that it is, because there's a lot of things afoot in the company that I work with. I work as a museum guide, and I really do love my job, but there are aspects of it that I wish were a little bit more streamlined, maybe. But you know, I think everybody feels that way, don't they, about their work? But I am possibly going to be changing my hours, or possibly changing my days, which might have a knock-on effect to what I'm doing here. So I'm going to see if I can work around whatever happens next. However, I'm still going to try and keep my schedule of Friday making and doodling and sketching and things during the week as well. I don't know if you guys have been able to watch my shorts. It's a very different style, but I do some doodling on my iPad, and some doodling just using pen and paper, and I'm in the middle of creating a very big, very silly doodle using pen and paper, and it's still going well, but it's one of those things where I have to take a bit of a run up of it, because my injuries to my back are still complaining about working in certain positions and certain conditions, and doing my drawing is one of those things that it's complaining about. But you know, it's going well, and I really like what I've managed to create so far, but I don't know if I'm going to have the time to work on it as much as I would like to if my hours change. But I am also going to be starting other projects and things in the autumn. So once I'm done with this one, once I'm done with the Sashiko bag, I will be returning to some gold work. So I've got the second gold work kit that my lovely husband bought for me for my birthday this year, and then I've also got a plan for something that is autumn themed that I'm going to be making by myself, but using some gold work techniques and some other bits and pieces from the gold work kits and projects that I've already done. So it's going to be interesting. I have a very definite plan in mind, and it's very, very definitely autumn themed. The kit from Hand and Lock, I still feel it's kind of more Halloweeny themed, because it's the Mary Shelley kit, which I'm really looking forward to getting into. But for my own personal gold work idea, I'm going to be returning to a theme that I've done previously. What that is, you guys are going to have to guess, aren't you? But we'll see how we go with that one. Oops, daisy, another knot there, and Kimoon. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do that double now, that's absolutely fine. And I'm just going to, oops daisy, trim that off the end of this so it doesn't fray too much. Just tuck that over on the end there. And I managed to completely miss the bit that I was trying to fold over, because of course I have. Oopsie daisy. Let's see if we can get that in there. Problem is my thumb is quite rough at the moment, so the thread keeps snagging on it, which is not ideal. But that's in there now, and I'm just going to come through there, and then do a much more loosey-goosey concertina stitch here. Okay, so that's in the fur. Fold that over, put it onto the fur, and just do a quick stitch through. There we go. And a second stitch fur. And then I'm just going to sort of spread this out so it looks nice and evenly ruffled all the way along. And then I can just do a couple of anchoring stitches. Oopsie daisy. Just keep that nice little bit of ruffle just as it goes through. It is going to shift slightly because it is loose rather than nice and firm like the gold stitch, but you know, I can work around it. There we go. And then that gives me space to put something else in front of it. So I've got some ideas about that for next week, but we'll get to next week first. So that looks pretty good to me. Like I say, there's no real theme here. It's kind of, do I like something? Do I think it's pretty? Is it going to go on? Yes. There is some element of design to it, but you know, it's what I'm feeling like at the time. Anyway, so that brings us to the end of that little session. And yeah, let me know what you think of my mad design there. I'll take you up a little bit so you can see a bit more of it. But what do you think? Is it mad enough for you yet? And I am at the moment it looks kind of chaotic, but I'm thinking that once I start coming in with beads and stitches and other decorative items, it's going to start to look more intentional. So that bit there already looks more intentional than a lot of it, and it's starting to look like it's framing itself, especially with this piece and this piece down here in the stump work as well. But yeah, I'm going to be adding some embroidery stitches. I'm going to be adding some beads and buttons and other bits and pieces as well, and I've got some more trim to add on here next week. So yep, make sure you tune in for that next week, and let me know what you think of this and my Sashiko project down in the comments below. And whilst you're down there, please remember to like and subscribe and all those lovely little things that help a tiny channel like mine to grow. And in the meantime, I hope you all have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you very much again, and bye bye.